Hi Cancer, welcome to your chakra check-in for the first part of April 2022. I'm going to start with what's coming through first, which is what I usually do. And I'm seeing first your solar plexus chakra. So your solar plexus chakra is, no, not like that, is just a little bit, whatever. Hi Cancer. Welcome to your chakra check-in for the first part of April 2022. I'm going to start with what's coming through first, which is your solar plexus chakra. So your solar plexus chakra is doing some things right now. And I can tell that's because you are doing some things right now. So we're kind of sitting kind of like okay on this solar plexus chakra, but what I can tell is that if we don't balance it out, keep it balanced, it's going to go into kind of a wonky space, okay? You do have a little bit of stuck energy in here. So let's talk about this before we go into the other chakras, since this did come through first. So we've got this solar plexus, and this is your kind of like doing center. This is the seat of your ego, but it's also your power center. It's responsible for getting things done. And I can tell you're getting some things done. Okay, Cancer? However, it's a bit overworked. Okay, so it's tired. It's also a bit overstimulated. So we want to get inject a little more feminine energy in here. And you could do that. We don't have the full moon is really good for that, but we don't have a full moon for another couple of weeks. And this reading basically will be done by then. So you can look at, believe it or not, pictures of the full moon. The energy is kind of imbibed, right, in those pictures, so it'll be helpful for you. Or if you're somebody who does like rituals or whatever, you can do some kind of rituals to connect with moon energy. So we want it balanced because number one, we don't want you doing too much, right? You want to be productive, but you want to be doing that smarter, not harder in terms of working. And by the way, this could be related to work and career, or it could just be, getting shit together in your life or education. It's just sort of, this is how your actions, right? This is where your actions are stemming from. So we don't want you to get overworked and tired, because it's then when you get imbalanced because you overwork it, this guy starts to just kind of like knock off, kick out, and you're going to get into that mode, that sort of procrastination mode where you feel like you can't move forward. And we don't want that. And the good news is we're not there yet. So you're getting this kind of like early preventative message. The other thing that can happen when this gets overstimulated is that your ego is going to grow a little bit larger than it needs to be, and it's basically going to affect your thinking. It's going to affect not only the actions that you take, but it's going to affect your relationships. It affects a lot of things. And again, this isn't to say like you're going to turn into like a megalomaniac. It's just that we want our ego to be balanced, right? We want it's here to help us, and we want to employ it, but it doesn't need to be driving the bus. And it doesn't feel like it is, but it feels like it could. And I almost feel like, okay, I'm saying warning, but don't like freak out. I'm saying warning only because I feel like this has happened to you before, where you've gone a little bit over the edge from like feeling yourself to like, maybe, feeling yourself a little bit too much, right? So it's like, this is almost feels like, all right, like deja vu kind of thing. Like you've been here before. This is your second chance to remember what happened the last cycle and do it differently. So pictures of the moon would be really good. And actually, there's some other stuff that could work. Let me talk about your sacral chakra. Your sacral chakra, I see some stuff. So it's a little bit lighter on energy, and you've also got a little bit of stuck energy in here as well. This feels like trauma of some sort. And when I say trauma, that doesn't have to be like emotional trauma. It can actually be, like a physical injury, a car accident, where the seatbelt, pressed into your abdomen where your sacral chakra is. So it feels like a force, a physical force, and what happens in your physical body is reflected in your energy body, and what happens in your energy body is reflected in your physical body. So it feels like you've had some kind of, and it could be, like I said, it could be a car accident and the seatbelt digs into your abdomen. It could be a loss of a pregnancy. It could be a termination of a pregnancy. It just feels more pointedly physical pain inflicted on your body. So a smoothie would be really good because you want to do something that's like a little bit cooler. So mango, papaya, put a tiny bit of ginger in there, not a lot, tiny bit of ginger, and even some pineapple, because the pineapple will help this cool off this guy too. So do it cold. We want cool things for this sacral chakra. And you can buy frozen fruit. I mean, fresh fruit is always better, but you can buy frozen fruit. You can buy ground ginger. It doesn't have to be, a piece of fresh ginger. As a rule of thumb, anything fresh is always better. So your root chakra is actually looking pretty decent. I can like a lot of times when I see things going on in the sacral chakra, it'll also like be manifested in this root chakra. But yours, like I said, is looking pretty good. It feels to me, there's a couple of things coming through. It feels to me either like you've had a stable home, and maybe right now you're what you would call like what you want to be home, whether that's a physical home or like the kind of house you want or the city you live in, or just like what the foundation of your life is, like sort of like not necessarily who you are, but just having things settled, like, okay, I just want to exhale so I can like live my life and quit worrying about building my foundation, right? It feels like maybe that's not where you're at right now, but that's okay because you've had this kind of stable home, and I mean like had like early adult childhood type stuff, or you have worked really hard to create a home space for yourself despite some emotional trauma in regards to the home space and any physical trauma. So any physical trauma that might have happened with the sacral chakra has sort of been taken care of by way of you taking care of your root chakra. You don't need to do anything for this. If it resonates with you, just be in nature. Trees come through pretty strong. You could do some cacao if you want. That's kind of coming through for everybody right now. You don't need to do, and I would say once a week for you, warm cacao. So, okay, your heart chakra, kind of in relation, well, back up. Sorry. When I'm doing this, messages, it's like stuff comes through really fast. Your heart chakra is, a little bit smaller, which is a pretty common phenomenon for people who, just may have been through a period where they were just over it, right? Like, I'm over the love thing, and this doesn't have to be romantic relationships, but it usually is sparked by romantic relationships. And you're like, you know what, I'm just not doing that right now. Like, it feels like I'm taking a break from it. And it feels like you think it's only like taking a break from it, but it is a little bit related to a bit of you doing some self-protection. I do see this heart chakra kind of like starting to pick up and be stimulated again, because I see this little bits of like diffuse energy around it. And this is good. I can almost feel you consciously deciding like, okay, not even like, oh, I can love again or like be in romantic love. Maybe that's true too, but like I can connect with people again. It's kind of safe to like re-enter the human world, like re-enter the world in a sense. So that's going on with your heart chakra. Good stuff going there. I don't think necessarily you need to do anything for your heart chakra. It seems to be moving in the right direction. And I think when you get this other stuff, because remember, our chakras are like a hose, right? So everything's flowing. So if you get some stuff down here flowing better, then stuff up here starts flowing better too. So I think your heart chakra, like I said, I already feel like it's doing its thing. It's growing in an appropriate manner. And then when you fix some of this other stuff down here, that'll help your heart chakra. Your throat chakra was coming through pretty strong. So I feel like you are maybe coming into a time where you're like, okay, I'm finally me. Like I'm putting myself out there. I'm having a better sense of who I am, which does come through partly through our solar plexus chakra, but the outward expression of it, right? Like being outwardly who you are, being your actions, expression of self, being totally aligned with who you are. It comes through your throat chakra. And there's some stuff coming through with the throat chakra that is related to communication. It feels like, oh, by the way, there's a little bit of like this idea of like scrambled messages, scrambled energy in this throat chakra. And our throat chakra, like I said, it is responsible for like our sense of self, but as most people know it, it's responsible for like communication. So I'm getting these like, I don't know, you're maybe communicating with a lot of people. I feel a lot of like communication going back and forth, but it feels like it's going round and round, if that makes sense. So I don't know what this is, but I know you're communicating with a lot of people. You're here. And for some reason, this stuff is going round and round. It's almost like you're recycling somehow communication, information. And I don't want you to get muddled in this. So it's almost like you're getting excited about a lot. It's almost like you're doing so much that it's like what resonates with other people's expression of self is like by osmosis sort of leaking into your throat chakra, if that makes sense. So really just be conscious of, you might be getting excited, and it does feel like you are, about like what other people are talking about, communicating about, expressing. Make sure you have a me and them kind of differentiator. And I would even make a list. I would actually write this list with a piece of paper and your hand and a writing utensil. Just like what resonates deeply with an expression of me, what is other people. And if you find yourself getting super, super excited about everything and you're like, I want to talk about this, and just make this list so that you can, I feel like communication is a part of who you are and a part of maybe even your purpose. But there's this idea of like keeping things separate. I don't know. I can't, I guess it's just coming through. I think this might mean something different for different people. But as it relates to expression, communication, messaging, maybe even content, keep things separate. Okay? Whoops, I just spelled it wrong. Keep things separate. That's all I can say. Your third eye is fine. I kind of get the sense that you're like not super into this idea of a third eye. Whatever, that's fine. You don't have to be. But you are using it, whether you know it or not. I don't think you need to do anything to become a yogi or whatever. And I also think that there's some mindset stuff around what it means to be using a third eye. Like you kind of think it's maybe hokey, or like either hokey, or maybe it's not even real, or maybe it's only for like mystics who live in, caves in the mountains and the Himalayas. I don't know. But you are using this. And you could, if you wanted to, you could use it more. If you wanted to, star anise, make a tea out of it. I'm just going to give you what's coming through as like maybe to think about the third eye a little bit different. Think of it as a brain bank, okay? Think of it as like all the ideas in all of time and space exist in this brain bank. And people who have a well-developed third eye, outside of what happens up here in the crown chakra or even above that in the soul star chakra, people who have a well-developed third eye dip right into this brain bank. It's like they have a front door to it, okay? That's what this third eye is. So if you wanted to maybe, I can tell you, like, I've changed my business recently, but as an entrepreneur, and even before that in my business professional life, this thing right here was how I made all my decisions, and I was very successful, right? So it can be really practical to dip into this brain bank. Like everybody says, there are no new ideas, especially in the business entrepreneur world, right? Well, there really aren't, probably, because they're all in this brain bank, and we're all dipping into it, and some of us have better access to it and some don't. That could be part of what's going on in here with all this confusion, like maybe not knowing that you're in the brain bank. But if you think of it that way, wouldn't you want to have more information? I mean, if you were to make a decision, any decision in your life, wouldn't you want to have the most available information? And that's what development of the third eye can get you. Again, I'm not telling you to work on it. I think the stuff down here is what you need to work on more, especially this guy. But if you wanted to, you can see some big benefits. I feel like maybe in the future you'll do that. And if you wanted to try star anise, when you try this, have time to really feel what it does to your body. The teas are the best way for anything, for me, for herbs, especially something like this, because it can be really overpowering and even numbing to your tongue. But have quiet time where you can drink it, ingest it, and really feel what it's doing inside of your body. If could be on a day that you didn't have processed food or even animal meat. This is not like a commercial for being vegan or whatever. I'm not vegan. But if you could, your system being very clear. Oh, and just generally drink a lot of water for this lower stuff. And again, your crown chakra looks fine. I get this sense of like nothing to see here. You feel good about, for lack of a better word, your spiritual sense or self, or you're like, yeah, that stuff all falls into place. It is what it is. Maybe we're alive, maybe we're not, maybe this is all a dream. And you kind of don't care, but it's that kind of attitude, which a lot of people think is nonchalant, is really sort of an attitude of surrender. And that gives you oftentimes a more developed crown chakra than somebody who would be considered traditionally religious or more religious than spiritual. So to recap, my friend, I gave you a lot of things to do. So these are general readings. If it was just you, I'd tell you exactly what you should do, and it would usually not be more than one or two things. So let's recap, and you can pick from any of these things with the understanding that the most important thing you can work on is your solar plexus chakra. For your root chakra, you can be in nature, trees specifically, be around trees. And if you wanted to do cacao once a week, that would help. A smoothie, mango, papaya, a little bit of ginger, and some pineapple will help with this solar plexus chakra and your sacral chakra. Looking at the moon, even pictures of the moon, will also help get some feminine energy into this solar plexus chakra. If you wanted to do some star anise for your third eye chakra, you can do that as a tea. And for your throat chakra, just be cognizant of this message of keeping things separate. I think you'll either know what it means now, or something will happen and you'll be like, oh, I get what that means now. There's nothing you need to do for it except be cognizant of what belongs to you and what belongs to other people. Okay, thanks, Cancer.